Hey folks, Stronghold Crafter Cav here. Welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a skull decoration tile for a dungeon. And this is airy. Okay, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. I have a lot more things coming on the channel. I wouldn't want you to miss out. And if you are a subscriber, thank you! Really appreciate it. For more information on my craft, visit my website, which is strongholdcrafter.com. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yes. And I welcome your comments. So tell me whatever what you think of the video, and I will see you in a bit. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey folks, welcome back to another dungeon tile tutorial. And this particular piece here is what I'm going to be working on. I'm actually going to show you how to do one slightly different from this, but the principles will still remain the same. For starters, you're going to want a 4x4 tile. And if you recall, Dungeon Tiles 3 and Dungeon Tiles 5 will explain on how to get it to this state, and we'll continue on. Now the skull itself is, I got them at a Michael's craft store, and there's about 12 in a set here, and let's see here. That's the actual brand. So, anyway, I thought it was a pretty good deal considering. And if you compare this to a miniature 28mm scale, you can see they are very large. So, with that being said, it's more of like a terrain piece you can use. Now, what I plan to do is cut it at an angle and glue it onto the piece itself. So what you need to do is, I'm not going to go through both of these at the same time, but what you need to do is figure out what would be a nice angle for this to be resting on this, because you know, if you just glue it on top, it's going to be a skull on top of a base, and anybody can do that. Let's be creative here. What I thought about is, okay, I'm going to have one where it's going to be laying like this. So I took a marker and drew that in place. And this one's going to be lying like this. So, a couple things to keep in mind. You want to get a good hobby knife or another sharp knife. Be very careful with cutting, of course. And if you see here, you want to cut away this seam here from where it was molded. And that's pretty simple to do. Let's get out my trusted hobby knife here. Okay, and then you make sure the blade's nice and tight, and just a little extra detailing, but basically you want to make that as smooth as possible. Alright, I cut a little bit too deep right here. No big deal, we can fix that. You want to be careful, yeah, how deep you cut. You want to get it as smooth as possible. And now I'm going to actually separate this into what I want, and I'll go from there. Alright, I'm going to have to do some fine cutting on this, but you can see pretty much how it's going to look. Well, after your initial cut, just lay it on the base and see how it looks. If you got to cut more out, then cut more out. If you need to smooth the line down, go ahead. Takes a little bit of practice. And we'll go from there. Alright, now it's time to take care of gluing this in place. So after looking to see how it fits on there, make sure you have that orientation right. You want to glue it in the middle. So I'm just going to take my low temp hot glue gun and glue it down. Alright, after holding it in place for a little bit, you can see that I might have overdone the glue just a little bit, but when you paint it, it'll blend right in and no big deal. Now, I did notice that there's a little bit of an air gap there. I'm going to see if I can just fill that in with a little bit of hot glue, and just when it gets painted again, it'll be blended over and no big deal. We're not trying to be perfect here, just trying to do some stylized terrain, if you will. Not to mention it'll give some additional texture, and so on and so forth. Pardon me while I'm shaking the thing there, but once the paint's on there, it won't even look the same. So I'll let that cool and we'll go on to the next step. Alright, now that the hot glue is totally cooled and set, it's time to base coat this. So I just took some basic black acrylic paint and let's see, Artist Loft brand Flow acrylic, blah blah blah. It says it's fluid paint. Not true. It's too thick for these really small cracks. So what I do is I pour out. Stop that. My cat is bugging me. Anyway, I put it out as much as I think I need, and I add water to it, and I get it to where it's a nice thin consistency, but not too thin, so that it still has that, you know, we're not talking about like a wash, which would be a lot more water and a lot less paint. But anyway, getting a little too technical here, but anyway, but here with this kind of a piece, you're going to start with the edges here, and it appears that it is very thin. Not to worry, we can just layer this. I found that I actually had to touch up certain areas with the one that I originally did. No big deal. So I'm just going to continue painting this. And there he goes. My cat left the area. I didn't do any special treating to this. I just painted it on as is. If it doesn't seem like it's going to stick right, then you can just reapply it after it dries. And the other thing is, it wouldn't seep in the cracks, like I said, properly. Alright, just like so, you want it to flow into the cracks. If you put it on too thick, it's going to obscure the detail. So I want to finish this up and get back to you. Alright, I'm back, and this skull part of the tile is now dry. And you can see there's a little bit of some luster to it, even though it's a flat paint, but that's not a big deal. We're going to cover that up and all the good stuff. But you can see here it captured a lot of the detail with that thin coat, and we're going to highlight that even further. So it's going to look very similar to this. Okay, so I'm going to use a neutral gray Liquitex Basics, and I'm just going to use a sponge and dab it in place. Now the trick is when you fill the brush, that's the sponge, you scrape it off and stipple it gently. Now, for the harder to reach areas, I'm going to use a smaller sponge, and really, as DM Scotty would say, pop out that detail. Alright, that's looking, whoa, it looks a lot better. Sorry if my hand got in the way, but here again, I'm not trying to hit the whole area with the stippling. I'm just trying to get a variation here, and that way it looks like a stone effect. So it's good to have some light and dark places. Especially the hard to reach areas, you want to keep them dark. It'll allow that detail to show through. But yeah. So if we put these side by side, you can see the contrast is a little different. Simple. Alright. And I'll let that dry. In another video I'll go through how you can use this towel in gameplay. So, thanks for watching. Bye.